factors which affect photosynthesis. So I was discussing mainly water. So I told you, out of the total absorbed water by the plants, with the help of root system, hardly 1% of water is utilized for photosynthetic activity or for metabolic activity. So usually water is not a limiting factor. Okay. See, if plant is deprived of water, if plant is not getting enough water continuously, then it leads to what we call the closure of stomata. It leads to closure of stomata. There should be maintenance of turgidity in the guard cell, then only the stomata can be open. If the guard cells are not turgid, then the stomata close. So if stomata close, then there will not be exchange of gas between the leaves and surrounding environment. Carbon dioxide necessary for photosynthesis will not diffuse into the leaves, thereby photosynthesis rate can decrease. It leads to desiccation. That is a draining of the plant part. Okay, loss of water, reduced amount of water. Okay, wilting of plant parts. Wilting of plant parts. Wilting of plant parts. Desiccation. Wilting of plant parts. Okay, then enzymes will be less active. Enzymes will be less active because of lack of water. Okay, loss of turbidity will be there. Loss of turbidity. Absorption of water by the roots can be reduced. Okay, transportation of water to the aerial parts will be reduced. So water is the raw material of photosynthesis. If it is not transported to the mesophyll cells of the leaves, then photosynthesis rate decreases, right? So desiccation of plant part, building of the plant part, closure of the stomata, enzymes will be less active, loss of turbidity of the cell. So these are some of the effects which you can see on the rate of photosynthesis because of these reasons. Then so these are all external factors which affect photosynthesis. Okay, so starting from sunlight, then carbon dioxide, then we have temperature and water. Some external factors which we will discuss. One is oxygen. So this is not there in NCERT as an additional information. So this is oxygen. See, actually oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. It is a byproduct which is released through photosynthesis. But what happens is, if oxygen concentration is more surrounding of the leaves, photo concentration is more in the surrounding of the leaves, this can impact the rate of photosynthesis, especially in case of C3 plants. Especially in case of C3 plants. Okay. So what happens is, if oxygen concentration is more, then the C3 plant starts performing a process, that is photorespiration. Photorespiration. Rubisco enzyme to which whether carbon dioxide has to bind or oxygen has to bind, that is determined by the relative concentration of these two gases. Okay. Competition will be there between oxygen or carbon dioxide in order to bind it to the Rubisco enzyme site. So, which one has to bind, that is being determined by the concentration. So, if oxygen concentration is more, definitely Rubisco, instead of acting as RUBP carboxylase for fixing carbon dioxide, it starts fixing oxygen and it acts as RUBB oxygenase. That is the initial step in photorespiration, which we have learned recently. Right? So it favors photorespiration. Thereby, what happens? Photosynthetic yield will be reduced because of photorespiration. So the effect of oxygen on the rate of photosynthesis, it was first studied by a German biochemist by name Otto Warburg. A German biochemist by name Otto Warburg, he studied the effect of oxygen concentration on the rate of photosynthesis. He did research on chlorella, a unicellular green alga, chlorella. Experimental research in laboratory conditions has revealed that if oxygen concentration is more than photosynthetic yield, photosynthesis will be reduced. That remember. So, two reasons for reduction in the rate of photosynthesis. One, that is photorespiration. Oxygen can destroy the activated state of chlorophyll. Oxygen can destroy the activated state of chlorophyll. If activated state of chlorophyll is destroyed, it may affect what you call the light reactions. You have Z scheme. Okay, so activation of chlorophyll is the initial step. After absorption of radiant energy, chlorophyll molecule get excited. Then it expel electron. Then that electron is accepted by initial acceptor, electron acceptor, and it travels through different electron carrier. We have learned non-cyclic and cyclic phosphorylation. So oxygen can favor photorespiration, and oxygen can destroy the activated state of chlorophyll molecule. So this is how it can affect the rate of photosynthesis, that is mainly oxygen. Then we have another external factor that is mainly mineral elements, mineral nutrients. These mineral nutrients are present in the soil. Soil is the reservoir of mineral nutrients. Plants are going to get these mineral elements, macro elements, micro elements from the soil. Okay. Some of the mineral elements play a vital role in photosynthesis. These mineral elements are mainly, we have, one is magnesium. See, magnesium is very essential for chlorophyll synthesis. Suppose a plant do not get adequate amount of magnesium, then it leads to lack of chlorophyll molecule. The chlorophyll synthesis will not be there without magnesium. Even iron is also required for chlorophyll synthesis. Okay, these mineral elements are absorbed from soil in the form of mineral salts, in the form of ions. Okay, so after entering into the plant cells or tissues, they play a vital role in controlling different metabolic activities, growth and development. So iron is also required for chlorophyll synthesis. Iron is a component of pigment protein electron carrier, one which we came to know, that is cytochrome. We learned about cytochrome B6 and cytochrome F5 electron carrier. So cytochrome is having iron in it. Then we have copper. Copper is also required. It is a micronutrient. Iron is a micronutrient, copper is a micronutrient, magnesium is macronutrient. Means one which is required in large quantity by the plant, that is macronutrient, major element. The one which is required in small quantity, small amount in a day, that is micronutrient, minor element, what we call. Okay, copper. Copper is a constituent of an electron carrier which take part in photophosphorylation. Okay, electron transport accompanied with what we call photophosphorylation. So such as plastocyanin. Plastocyanin is an electron carrier which connects photosystem 2 to photosystem 1. The electrons released from cytochrome B6 F complex will reach the plastocyanin. From plastocyanin, it will reach PS1, photosystem 1. Okay, so plastocyanin has copper center in it. Then we have OEC, oxygen evolving complex. I told about this oxygen evolving complex. It has manganese ion, it has chloride ion. So plants have to absorb these manganese ion and chloride ion from the soil. Deficiency of the manganese and chloride ion can retard the formation of this complex, that is oxygen evolving complex, which is basically involved in photolysis of water. Photolysis of water. So this is how the mineral elements can play the role in what we call the photosynthesis process. Hence, the plants should get the adequate required amount of these mineral elements from the soil, right? So these are all different external factors which influence or affect the photosynthesis process. So with respect to that oxygen as an external factor, I told Otto Warburg has done the research. He has given a effect. That effect is known as Warburg's effect. Warburg's effect. The phenomenon of inhibition of photosynthesis. The phenomenon of inhibition of the rate of photosynthesis due to increased oxygen concentration is known as Warburg's effect. So the phenomenon of inhibition of photosynthesis due to increased oxygen concentration is known as Warburg's effect. So he did research on chlorella. So we have internal factors. In internal factors, plant factors, what we call the factors which are present within the plant. Okay. So here we mentioned about number, age, size, and orientation of leaves. Orientation of leaves. If a plant has more number of leaves, definitely photosynthesis will be more because the leaves are photosynthetic fibers. Okay. Then age. Usually old leaves are shed. Shedding of leaves will be there. Old leaves will fall. Okay. Abscission, what we call abscission of the leaves. Right? Young leaves, they develop, and in young leaves there will be chloroplast maturation, there will be chlorophyll synthesis. Hence, young leaves can actively take part in photosynthesis as compared to the old leaves. In old leaves, because of destruction of chlorophyll pigment, all that the pigmentation can be comparatively lesser. The one which is undergoing aging, senescence, what we call old leaves, aged leaves. Okay, then the size of the leaf. If the surface area of the leaf is broader, okay, suppose if this leaf is like this, it is a smaller surface area. If the leaf is having broader surface area, the amount of light which it receives will be more. Okay, then orientation of leaves, how the leaves are arranged around the branches of the tree. Okay, so these leaves should be arranged in such a manner they should be well exposed to the sunlight. Okay, arrangement of leaves, phyllotaxy, what we call phyllotaxy, arrangement of leaves. So these should be arranged in such a manner they should be well exposed to the sunlight. Then you have the mesophyll cells. More the number of mesophyll cells, greater the rate of photosynthesis. In the mesophyll cell, number of chloroplasts should be more. Number of chloroplasts should be more. Okay. Then chlorophyll content should be high. Chlorophyll content, the number of chlorophyll molecule pigment should be more. There are some plants, they are parasitic plants like Cascota, Cassita. It is a total stem parasite, Cascota. Then you have Cassita. They are parasitic plants. Usually they don't have leaves. So they are dependent on other plants for their food requirement. Okay, like that you have fungi. They don't have chlorophyll content. They are heterotroph. They are dependent on other. Like that, many non-photosynthetic bacteria are there. They are dependent on others. So the one which have the chlorophyll molecules, especially in the leaves and other parts of plant, they are capable of performing the photosynthesis. Right? Then protoplasmic factor. Protoplasmic factor. Protoplasm should have enough water content. Protoplasm, what it should have? Enough water content in it so that the fluid media is maintained and it keeps the enzymes active. Most of the biochemical reactions are catalyzed by the enzymes. These enzymes will be kept active in fluid media maintained in the protoplasm. So this is about the protoplasmic factor. Then we have photosynthetic products. Photosynthetic products. Usually photosynthetic products are mainly you have sugars. Sugars. Okay, the simplest sugar it is glucose. The trans-locating sugar is sucrose. Okay, we have a polysaccharide which is stored as a reserve food material, storage product, that is starch. That is starch. Suppose photosynthesizing cells, mesophyll cells, they have enough amount of carbohydrates in them. See, they're all carbohydrate. This is simple sugar, this is a disaccharide, this is polysaccharide. If a photosynthesizing cell had enough, sufficient quantity of the sugar, then the rate of photosynthesis decreases. Because already cell has enough amount of sugar, carbohydrate content in it. What is the need of synthesizing furthermore? Okay, that's why when enough sugar is there, enough carbohydrates are there in the mesophyll cells or photosynthesizing cells, these sugars should be immediately translocated or transported to other non-green parts of the plant. If these sugars stored in mesophyll cell or photosynthesizing cell, if they are translocated through the phloem to other non-green parts of the plant, then the mesophyll cell will be having very less sugar. Then there is a need of synthesizing sugar. Hence, photosynthetic rate increases. Okay, so these are all internal factors or plant factors which can affect photosynthesis. Right. So with this chapter, photosynthesis in higher plant is completed. Now I will start with the next chapter, respiration in plants. Okay, next very important chapter, how we learn photosynthesis. This chapter is also very important for theory as well as need water. Here you have three cycles, three figures or schematic representations which are very important for the exams. Okay. Respiration in plants. You have respiration in animals also, but mainly the chapter is concerned with the plants. So all living organisms, whether it is animal, microbes, mainly plants, they all respond. They all respond. Okay. They carry out breathing. They carry out breathing. Breathing is a part of respiration. Respiration is different, breathing is different. Breathing just exchange of gases. Inhalation of oxygen, exhalation of carbon dioxide. That is breathing. Breathing is a part of respiration. Respiration is a cellular process. Okay, respiration is breakdown of organic food to release carbon dioxide, water, with the production of heavy amount of energy. Okay, that is respiration. So plants, animals, and microbes can respire. So they breathe. They breathe. Okay. So they need energy. They need energy. To get this energy, they have to perform respiration. They have to perform respiration. So energy is derived from food on which the organisms are dependent. We take food. Every living organism requires food. We take the food. Energy is stored in the bonds of that food. Okay, suppose if you take sugar, glucose or sucrose, so the energy is stored in the carbon-carbon bonds of these sugars. So these bonds will be broken during respiration to release the energy. This energy we need always. This energy is required to perform various metabolic activities. The living organism is performing various metabolic activity in its lifespan. Okay, so with respect to plant, if you take various metabolic activities being performed by the plant, such as absorption, transpiration, photosynthesis, growth, development, etc. These are all different metabolic activities being performed by plant. So to perform these activities, plant needs energy. That energy comes from the breakdown of the food. So organic food is broken down in respiration. So this respiration requires oxygen. Respiration requires oxygen. Okay. So this oxygen can come into the cells usually through breathing. In the case of animals, particular breathing organs are there. Breathing organs, we have lungs. Okay, animals have lungs. So with the help of these lungs, there will be exchange of gases. But in plant, there are other structures which are associated with exchange of gases. No special breathing organs in plants. No special breathing organs in plant. Without breathing organs, the plant can survive. Plants can get through because of the presence of the structures which you find, that is stomata. You have other structures like lenticels through which exchange of gases will be there. So that is how the plants can get oxygen for respiration. The plant can get a carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Okay, so we need food. We need food and a substrate for respiration. So this food is being prepared only by plants, the green plants. They are capable of converting radiant energy into chemical energy. Not only plants, we have certain photosynthetic bacteria, then we have cyanobacteria. Only these organisms are capable of converting the radiant energy into chemical energy. Okay, so they make use of raw materials and they synthesize in presence of sunlight using the pigments. They synthesize sugars. All heterotrophs, all heterotrophs, animals particularly, including human beings, and you have microbes such as bacteria, fungi, etc. They are all heterotrophs. They are dependent on the food which is being synthesized by these. These are all producers. They synthesize the organic food. Okay. So when you take the animals such as herbivores, they are directly dependent on the plant food in order to get the energy requirement. Then carnivores, small carnivores, large carnivores, they are dependent on the herbivores for their energy. So, in case of animal, there is a predation. One animal feed on another animal, okay, through which there is a transfer of energy from one animal to another animal. Then, if you speak about these, bacteria and fungi, which usually act as decomposers. When plant and animal is alive, usually bacteria and fungi, they don't get from living organisms. After the death of both plant and animal, the dead remains of the plant and animals being acted by bacteria and fungi. So these bacteria and fungi are going to get the energy requirement mainly from dead remains of plants and animals. So these are referred as saprophytes. They are saprophytes. They get the energy from dead and decaying organic matter. They break down the complex organic matter into simple soluble organic compound, inorganic nutrients. These are released into the soil, and simple soluble organic compound form, which is produced that can be utilized partly by these bacteria and fungi in order to carry out their activities. Okay, so other animals and microbes require the food from the plants directly or indirectly. Now, plants themselves require energy. Plants themselves require energy. Yeah. We say that plants synthesize the organic food, but plants also need energy to perform various activities. In plants, all the parts are not capable of synthesizing the organic food. So when you speak about the plant, okay, only green parts of the plant, okay, so especially leaves, okay, which are superficial, okay, which are superficial parts, not inner parts, superficial parts, which are going to get the radiant energy very easily. So they are capable of synthesizing organic food, and it can be other parts, stem or branch, especially when it is green. It is also capable of synthesizing the organic food. So we have a small number of parts which are green, capable of synthesizing the organic food. But there are so many non-green parts are there. Non-green parts such as stem, root, okay, storage organs, fruit, etc. They are usually non-green. So the cells, the tissues present in these parts, they do need energy. Hence, the food which is synthesized, organic food, carbohydrate which is synthesized in the green parts of the plant, that has to be translocated, that has to be transported to non-green parts of the plant. Then only all the cells or tissues in the plant are going to get the organic food. Translocating sugar is sucrose. Sucrose is not directly used. Sucrose has to be hydrolyzed into glucose and fructose. These simple form of sugars can be absorbed by the cell Okay, then this glucose will be subjected to breakdown. Okay, when it breaks down, it is going to release carbon dioxide and water, and mainly it is going to release the energy. It is mainly going to release the energy. Okay, so this is how the breakdown of the organic food, oxidation of the organic food occurs, resulting in release of carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. So this process we usually call it as respiration. So respiration is actually cellular respiration. It is within the cell there will be breakdown of the organic food in order to release the energy. So this is cellular respiration. So breathing is a part of cellular respiration that we remember. So what is this cellular respiration for? See, in animals they need energy for locomotion. More energy is consumed in locomotion. Okay, reproduction, excretion, digestion. Okay, so many activities will be there in animals. They need energy. So that energy they are going to get through the food, either feeding on the plant or feeding on other animals like carnivores. So what is this cellular respiration? It is biological oxidation of organic food. Biological oxidation of organic food means breakdown. Biological oxidation or biological breakdown of organic food. Organic food is usually glucose. This is the simplest sugar to be used in respiration to be broken. Okay, so biological oxidation of organic food, that is glucose, into simpler molecules like carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. So biological oxidation of organic food, that is glucose, into simpler molecules like carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. So respiration is a oxidative catabolic and exergonic process. So it is an oxidative process, that is because sugar, glucose, is oxidized, broken down, usually in presence of oxygen. Glucose is broken down in presence of oxygen into simple molecules. Okay. It is called as catabolic because a complex molecule, sugar, a complex molecule sugar is broken down into simpler molecule like carbon dioxide and water. That is why it is called catabolic process. And it is known as exergonic process. It is exergonic process because it is a process in which energy is released, liberated. Energy is released or energy is produced. In photosynthesis, energy was used, solar energy, that's why it was endergonic process. Now this is exergonic process. So it is oxidative, catabolic, exergonic process. Okay. So the process in which organic food or carbohydrate is broken down into simpler molecules with the release of energy, that we call it as cellular respiration, or just simple definition, respiration. So you should not tell that respiration is inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. What you are saying, that is breathing. Breathing is a part of respiration usually. Okay, respiration means breakdown of the organic food into simple molecule with the production of energy. That when respiration occurs in plant, it is not a single step reaction. It is not a single step reaction. Okay, it is a slow multi-step reaction. Slow and multi-step. Many steps are there. Okay, so when there is breakdown of the organic molecule, I told there is a release of energy. That's why it is exergonic reaction or exothermic reaction, what you call. So the energy which is released here, it is not released in a single step. Energy is not released in single step. There should be operation or functioning of several steps. After the several steps, then there will be release of energy. And this energy is not released at a time. Stepwise, this energy is released at a time. Say, you have a process called as combustion, burning. Okay, you have a wood. You have wood. That wood you burn, that produce light, that produce lot of heat energy. Okay, so in a single step, it is a single step. You start burning, it burns until that wood is there, right? So then you will get only ash, plant ash you will get, right? So normal combustion is a physiochemical process. It is a physiochemical process, whereas the cellular respiration is biochemical process. It is a biochemical process. This biochemical process occurs in several steps. Energy is released state-wise, step-wise. At a time, energy will not be released. And the energy which is released here in respiration, some amount of energy is used as a heat to maintain the body temperature. We maintain the body temperature. Okay, constant body temperature will be there because of energy which is released as a heat during this cellular breakdown of the organic molecule. Okay, part of that, not all, part of that heat energy is used to maintain the body temperature. So remaining major portion of the energy which is released, it is not released as heat energy. Okay, so remaining major portion of the energy which is released through respiration, it is utilized. It is utilized in the synthesis of energy-rich compounds. Energy-rich compounds are ATP molecules. So the energy which is released due to the breakdown of the organic food is not released in a single step. Okay, it is released in multi-step, phase-wise. Small amount of energy is released, and this energy which is released, some amount of energy is maintained, used to maintain the body temperature. Okay, but the major part of the energy is actually used in the synthesis of other chemical compounds. Okay, which store energy in it, that is ATP molecule. So ATP is referred as energy currency of a cell. Energy currency of a cell. This cell, when it wants to perform the metabolic activity, the instant source of energy comes due to the breaking of ATP. So it is universal energy carrier, energy currency of a cell. In a combustion, at a single time, large amount of energy is released. Combustion is not controlled by enzymes. Cellular respiration controlled by enzymes. Cellular respiration occurs in living cells. Combustion, any non-living thing you can burn, that is combustion. So if you take this ATP, which is the energy currency of a cell, or it is regarded as universal energy carrier. Universal energy carrier. Remember. So this ATP Simple. This is adenosine. Adenosine is a nucleoside. Okay, sugar, pentose sugar, ribose sugar plus nitrogen base, that is adenine. So this is adenosine. Adenosine is a nucleoside with these phosphate groups. Okay, there are three phosphate groups. That's why it becomes adenosine triphosphate. ATPs are transported to the cells, where the cell is performing the metabolic activity. When it needs energy, that energy comes from the breakdown of ATP. Remember, for the performance of the metabolic activity by the individual cells or tissues, energy comes from ATP molecule. Actually, these ATP molecules are synthesized by using the energy released from the breakdown of the organic food. Energy is not directly released in open manner. Okay, so that energy which is released, can be trapped to synthesize energy-rich compound with a called as energy currency. When these are required by the cell to perform the metabolic activity, these ATPs are easily transported into the cell, where they undergo hydrolysis or breakdown, resulting into the release of energy that is being used by the cell to perform the metabolic activity. So yeah, these are represented by curly line like this. Okay, these are high energy bonds. They are high energy bonds. These curly lines, we call it as squiggle bonds. Squiggle. So when there is a breaking of this, when last phosphate is broken, first, second, third, when it is broken, what we will get usually? Adenosine diphosphate, and one phosphate gets separated. Inorganic phosphate gets separated. So on the hydrolysis, on the breakdown of this, it is going to yield 8.15 kilocalories of energy. Remember, when it is hydrolyzed broken, it is going to produce 8.15 kilocalories of energy. Now see here, this one, when it is broken, this is now second phosphate group. Is it or not? When it is broken, it is going to yield 6.5 kilocalories of energy. So this, when it is removed, how many phosphate will remaining now? One. So it becomes, what it becomes? AMP plus 2 phosphate gets separated. This one and this one, AMP. So this 6.5 kilocalories. When this is low energy bond, okay, when this is broken, it yields 3.4 kilocalories of energy. When this phosphate is also removed, what is remaining? Only adenosine will be remaining. So normally, whenever the cell is in need of energy to carry out the metabolic activity, only one phosphate will be broken down or hydrolyzed to release the energy. This, only this. So whenever ATP utilization reactions are there, you will get ADP plus inorganic phosphate and energy which is released. Okay, so normally this reaction you can see in cells when the cell need energy to perform the metabolic activity. Remember, so usually this bond, this hydrogen, not hydrogen, this high energy bond will not be ruptured so easily. Normally, when cell require energy, this is easy hydrolysis reaction through which ATP can release the energy. That's why I need energy cell universal energy carrier. That remember. Okay. Friends, let me refer ATP and energy currency of a cell, energy coin of a cell, universal energy carrier. Friends, let me remember. Carl Lohmann, he discovered ATP. It is the German biochemist by name Karl Lohmann discovered ATP. Alexander Todd, he gave the structure of ATP, clarified the structure of ATP. And Fritz Lippmann, he regarded this ATP, okay, it is an energy-rich chemical substance, okay, that is being used for performing metabolic activity, that remember. Okay, so energy released from the breakdown of the organic food is trapped to synthesize ATP. Hence, ATPs are synthesized in the respiration process at a specific stepwise manner, not in a single step. So, energy release is in stepwise fashion, not in a single step. So, this makes sure there is no unnecessary wastage of energy produced after the breakdown of organic food. So respiration require raw material. What is that raw material mainly? Substrate it requires. Substrate. That is food. Organic food. It requires. Okay. Then oxygen can be used if it is aerobic respiration. Oxygen is not used if it is anaerobic respiration. That we will learn little later on. Okay. So the substrate, it is organic food, usually carbohydrate. Usually carbohydrate. Under special conditions, proteins, fats, organic acids can also be used. Okay. So the substrate which is subjected to biological oxidation, the substrate which is subjected to biological breakdown or oxidation is known as respiratory substrate. Respiratory substrate. Remember, the substrate, it is organic food, it is organic compound which is subjected to breakdown, oxidation during respiration. That substrate is known as respiratory substrate. The most commonly used respiratory substrates are carbohydrates. Remember, carbohydrates are the most commonly used respiratory substrate. So in this particularly, glucose, it is the simplest sugar. Easily it can be broken down or oxidized. If we use complex sugar, these complex sugars first they should be hydrolyzed into simple stuff. Suppose if sucrose is there, sucrose has to be broken down into glucose and fructose. If maltose is there, maltose has to be broken down into two molecules of glucose. So after their breakdown or after their digestion, simple sugar is formed now that can be used as a respiratory substrate. So carbohydrates, especially glucose, is the most commonly used respiratory substrate. It is a simple sugar which can be easily broken down. That remember. Okay. Suppose if carbohydrates are not available, so in such case, in certain conditions, other organic substrates can be used. So these organic substrates can be fats or lipids. Okay, then proteins, and then even organic acids can also be used. But these are not commonly used respiratory substrates. Carbohydrate, glucose, or sugars are the commonly used respiratory substrate. Okay, based on the nature of the respiratory substrate used, based on the nature of the respiratory substrate used in respiration, we have one is floating respiration, and another one is protoplasmic respiration. One is floating respiration and another one protoplasmic respiration. the respiration in which carbohydrates or fats are used as respiratory substrate. The respiration in carbohydrates or fats are used as respiratory substrate. And that respiration is known as floating respiration. Sugars, simple sugars or fats can be used as respiratory substrate. Floating respiration. Then the respiration in which proteins are used as respiratory substrate. When proteins are used as respiratory substrate, then it is called as protoplasmic respiration. Remember, then it is called as protoplasmic respiration. Remember, based on the nature of this substrate used, we have floating respiration and another one, protoplasmic respiration. Keep it in mind. Next concept now. Do plants breathe? Do plants breathe? So plants perform respiration. Plants perform, all the plants respire. All the plants respire. Microbes, plants, animals, all living organisms can respire. Okay, either it is aerobic or anaerobic, whatever it is. All higher plants, higher animals, they perform aerobic respiration. We are all aerobes. If oxygen is not there, we cannot survive. Okay, so all plants can respire or they show respiration. Okay, so for respiration, there is a need of a vital gas. Okay, which is that vital gas? Oxygen is required. Okay, so the substrate, whatever the substrate, that substrate is broken down usually in presence of oxygen. When it is broken down in presence of oxygen, it can release more amount of energy as compared to the breakdown of the organic food in absence of oxygen. So plants need oxygen. Of course, plants release oxygen from photosynthesis. But plants, in order to carry out cellular respiration, this cellular respiration occurs during day and night time. Don't think that plants perform photosynthesis during daytime. Night time they perform respiration. Even at daytime also respiration should be there because the daytime energy is not required. Daytime also energy is required. So don't be under wrong impression that plants perform photosynthesis during daytime. Night time they perform respiration. Not like that. Respiration can occur throughout a day, either it is a daytime or night time, whatever it is. Of course, photosynthesis, light reaction occur during daytime. Dark reactions, light independent reactions occur usually during night time. But dark reaction can also occur during daytime, independent of light, you know, right? So, for various metabolic activities, photosynthesis, flowering, cell division, growth, development, differentiation. Okay, so many vital activities being performed by the plant, they need energy. So to get that energy, cells have to perform respiration. So respiration can occur daytime, nighttime. Don't be under wrong impression. Okay, so cells require oxygen. Cells require oxygen. Okay. And we know that plants do not have specific breathing organs like animals. Lungs, through which there will be exchange of the gases. Okay, with the help of our nostril, we inhale oxygen, then oxygen, where purification of air will be there, right? So then that blood carrying the oxygenated blood, it is transported to different parts of the human body all that. So there are vital organs. Okay, breathing mechanism is there, which help in this process in case of animals. But in case of plants, even though breathing organs are not there, but it get through without breathing organs. It can survive, it can be alive without breathing organs. Okay, so how it can get through without breathing organs, this I will continue tomorrow, right?